When you walk a spiritual path, you will no doubt come across the term ascension. There are many definitions and beliefs behind this word, and it really all depends on each individual's belief system, religion, philosophy, etc. So, this is just my interpretation of ascension after many years of walking the spiritual path. Hopefully, you can find some value here. So, on the spiritual journey, we often hear of climbing upward toward light, truth, and freedom. To me, the ascension process means going into your higher consciousness, or what some people say is heaven. This process has you essentially climbing a ladder, and that's why we say there are degrees. Take a thermometer, for example. It starts at 0 and raises in degrees as the temperature rises. However, the degrees are also akin to wisdom and knowledge, like a master's degree. The higher we get in degrees, the higher the knowledge is going to get. And maybe the amount of people in the room starts getting less as well. You can clearly see this in universities and even in some secret societies and their hierarchies. It's funny, people seem to think that the higher you go in the ascension process, the more knowledge you get, and the more you have to read and learn, and the more you have to do. But in my experience, it's actually the opposite. As you get higher and higher, everything gets less and less and starts coming together and merging into one. Now, in saying all of that, ascent is only possible because of descent. So if you haven't gone deep into the shadows, you can't truly know what it means to rise. And this is why the journey of consciousness is cyclical. We descend into the dense layers of reality, sometimes losing ourselves in confusion or hatred, only to turn, awaken, and begin the upward movement again. This is the ascent. It's the art of carrying the light back from the depths, and not just for ourselves, but for those who are still navigating those realms. It's a transmutation of life rather than an escape. Each time we return to the higher rungs of the ladder, we bring wisdom gathered from below. We become ferrymen of consciousness, the bridges between realms, learning how to conserve and direct our energy rather than spend it aimlessly. And that's really the difference between simply surviving in the dream and actually learning to wake within it. So, before climbing, you of course must stand on stable ground and have a foundation to work from. There are lots of principles that contribute to ascension, but in the interest of time, there are a couple that I think are particularly important. So, number one, good is not at war with bad. We see this everywhere because of social media and what is portrayed on the mainstream news. We're taught to think of existence as a battlefield where light and darkness struggle endlessly. But good is not an opponent of bad. Good is simply the ever prevailing order of life. It's the conditions that make existence possible at all. If bad or evil had ever won, we wouldn't be here. So, aligning with good is aligning with harmony and wisdom and the infinite intelligence that underlies all things. And it all happens within you. It's it's more an energetic choice than a moral one. Despite what some people might tell you, it's to keep choosing that which nourishes your infinite being, your higher self. Now, the next principle is one that you've probably heard of already. You are in a dream. Every night we dream ourselves into different worlds, often forgetting who we are. Scale this up and you begin to glimpse the truth. Existence itself is dreamlike. The great illusion is separation, the sense of being a fragment, divided, cut off from the whole. It's the Maya in Hinduism. Now, the work is not to perfect the dream, it's to simply remember that it is a dream. So once you know where you are, you know where to go, and that's obviously towards reunion. Our consciousness longs to be reunited with omniscience, the individual with the source. And every spiritual teaching, stripped to its essence, points back to this reunification, this one truth. And if it doesn't, then it's a distorted teaching. Simple as that, in my view. Now, speaking of spiritual teachings, ancient texts like the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible are more often than not read outwardly. Krishna as a blue god, battles as literal wars, rituals as physical offerings. But you need to realize that the deeper current is always inward. Krishna, for example, is not only a historical figure, Krishna is omniscience itself, the divine wisdom that's locked within us and often imprisoned by illusion. The evil prince isn't a tyrant outside, it's Maya. It's the blind forces of confusion that hide our higher knowing. And the battle described isn't between nations, it's all within the self, within you. So when the Gita instructs us to honor the Devas, it's pointing to the inner lights, the chakras, the subtle organs of consciousness. Making offerings to them isn't placing fruit before statues or committing ritual sacrifices. It's refining our energy so that higher centers are fed by the purified essence of the lower. When we eat, when we act, when we do, when we choose, do we do that to satisfy the ego, or do we set aside a portion for the inner gods? And that's just a simple example and a shift that begins to transform and retrain your subconscious, teaching the ego that not everything belongs to it. That energy is then conserved, refined, and transmuted upward. Ascension. So there are examples like this in many spiritual texts. You sometimes just need to read between the lines and start applying what they're saying to your inner world. So to wrap this all up, all of these converge into one message. Ascension isn't some sort of out of body experience where you're literally taken to the sky. Your life is the ladder. Your descents are opportunities to awaken, and each ascent is a chance to be more, to carry the light, evolve, and learn. Just by recognizing the dream for what it is and honoring your inner divinity rather than external idols, that's when you step into the path of true spirituality and sovereignty. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was enlightening for you, and if so, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like and consider subscribing if you enjoy this sort of content. I'll see you in the next one.